Welcome to Lyme Time. I'm Allie from the Tick Chicks. We are all more than Lyme disease and chronic illness, and together we stand with you to overcome and rise. I'll bring you closer to the experts in cutting-edge treatments and even a few unexpected ways of healing. I'll ask the questions you want answers to regarding Lyme disease and successful ways of getting you closer to 100%. We are in this together and will not be defined by Lyme. Adam Schomer is the president of I2I Productions and is known for going to extreme lengths to follow stories that empower us. Feature documentaries include The Highest Pass, The Polygon, One Little Pill, Women of the White Buffalo, and the #1 iTunes bestseller and Netflix hit, Heal. Adam created and directed the stunning docuseries The Road to Dharma and its companion online course for living a life of freedom. In addition to film, he's a certified master sattva yoga teacher, has been leading meditations for over 11 years, and his mission of I2I Productions is to unite through wisdom and entertainment. His website is www.living_i.com. Welcome, Adam. Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure, Ellie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Before we get started, I want to tell you that the Heal documentary was how I found you. And not only did I pretty much memorize the whole thing, but I put it up on our website so that other people can access it and know about it, because it was not easy to find in the beginning and turn it until, of course, it got, I think, a lot of traction and then just got really big. And I think there are so many tools in there for exploring alternative ways to heal. So I want to thank you for my own personal healing journey.
Thanks for sharing it too. I appreciate it. That's why we made the film, really, was to help individuals. You know, we weren't trying to buck the system. We were trying to, help people that might need a little inspiration, right? Need a little reminder of how powerful they are, reminder of possibility, and also practitioners that can say, you know what, watch this film, then come back and talk to me. Have your family watch this film and then come back so you know why we're doing this approach. And that seems to be a good fit for the film too, to help just inform those that aren't there yet, in terms of seeing how powerful emotions, stress, etc. are part of the journey. It's not, as you know, it's not anti-Western medicine by any means.
Sure. Yeah. It's very powerful. So anybody who has not seen it, please tune in as soon as possible. I want to start by saying that although that narrative wasn't new to me, it was what I would call groundbreaking in terms of reaching mass populations and people who are severely compromised health-wise and maybe with invisible illness, and the world of health and healing and the mind-body correlation and how much your mind and psychology plays in your overall healing. So for those out there who have not seen the Heal documovie, can you take us through an overview of actually how it lays out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the controlling idea or the message of the film is really that we're more powerful than we've been taught to believe, that our emotions, our thoughts, and the way we perceive the world, really we have the power to heal. And in essence, if the body heals itself, but we can do a lot to help that. And often that we're not told that, right? So the film takes us through a lot of different experts that can speak to that in various ways, in various modalities, and science that can speak to that. And people that have had experiences also, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who used his mind to really heal his own back, and then has dedicated his life to study scientifically, what is this mind-body thing? How much power do we really have? Or Anita Moorjani, who had she was basically on her way out. She was dying, she was 70 pounds and had stage 4 cancer and had a near-death experience, saw her father drop the fear in her life, and boom, all the cancer went away. So the film goes, and we follow a couple of real life stories, people in the middle of it. One that, if you haven't seen the film, I don't think it's a spoiler alert, but they don't all end perfectly. And that speaks to the truth of what's out there and chronic illness and disease. And it's hard sometimes to make the leap from what we've been taught, meaning go see a doctor, believe them, take something for the symptoms, to saying, well, maybe I need to dig a little deeper, come at it from different angles. It might take longer, it might take a lot of work. I might actually need to change my life. I might need to change my relationships. I might need to de-stress, do some meditation, change my diet. Like I might have to do a lot, and take power back and responsibility, which not everybody wants to do. And it's also financially, as you know, it can be tougher because it's not covered by insurance. So we touch on that also. We're saying, yeah, if it was a little easier supported, it might be easier to approach things. So we didn't come in, the film, thankfully, it plays both out of saying we need Western and Eastern, and we know it's difficult to implement, but we also know through the science and through people's experiences that things like support and laughter and meditation and diet change and the way you perceive life informs even your genetics. All these things have a factor in your healing. And hopefully that alone, is enough to just open someone's mind and say, well, as I started up on this healing journey, maybe I should look at a few other things too.
Sure.
And hopefully even like something resonates with them in the film. That's part of like what you'll see is like, you might resonate with a certain practitioner or an idea and say, you know what, Eva, when she's going through that about her past with her mom and always being a caretaker and never giving herself time, that's why she's so stressed out and like angry inside, and it's bubbling up through her skin. I feel like that too.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go see somebody to help me start unwinding that before, hopefully even before it's an issue. So that's what you'll see in Heal. You'll see Deepak Chopra, you'll see Marianne Williamson, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Joan Borisenko, like Anita Morjani, as I mentioned, Anthony William, the medical medium, who I didn't know before this, making this film with Kelly, the director, whose idea this was, and she brought me in to produce the film with her. Amazing. Kelly Brogan, Dr. Kelly Brogan, who, talks about the kind of getting off meds when it comes to mental illness and like what went off for her. Yeah. And how difficult really it is, Allie, for doctors even too, that have put so much energy and money into a mindset and a career, to let some of that go and maybe shift themselves toward different kinds of treatment. That's also part of the issue.
I say all the time that my true healing began the second I stopped trying to kill this bacteria in my body. I just shifted my awareness. Okay, everything I'm doing right now isn't quite working, but now I'm going to just stop focusing on numbers, blood work, all of that stuff. And I'm just going to just start treating the symptoms. And what I also love about Heal is that there's a lot of unlocking going on. The whole movie is about unlocking that last door, because you've tried Western, you've done it, it's working for you. It may not be working for you, but it's how to unlock that final door. And my gosh, it can bring so much freedom. Was there a particular type of healing or treatment that you featured in the movie that spoke to you maybe more than others, or were you happy with the way everything came out, or what have you heard feedback about in terms
of? It's a lot of questions at once. But was I happy with everything? Probably not. If I think back, there was probably certain areas of the film I'm like, oh, I don't like that as much as the other thing we could have put in. But that's the fun part of post-production, of like fighting for what you think is your baby, but and then letting it go also, doing some push-ups, taking a lap around the building, and you're like, okay, and knowing also Kelly's the director, it's her final say. You can lobby for something as much as you want, but that's the director's right. She gets to do that. But no, in the end, absolutely, to be honest, I'm very, very happy with the film, and the way the way it comes out, and the way it's not all rosy at the end, I think is to me important, because it speaks authentically, and we're not trying to have a Hollywood ending, because it's just not like that.
It's true.
Was there a certain thing that I resonated with more so? I always resonate with meditation. I recitate, I mesitate. I don't know what my words were going, but I resonate with meditation a lot, because I know how powerful it is. And it was wonderful to see the correlation between, hey, meditating and getting your body into a parasympathetic state and it not being in fight or flight, and knowing then that, oh, now the body on some level heals itself in that state. So, okay, can we help our body be there more often? Because society is hitting us with the opposite. They want you to be stressed. They want you to be afraid so they can sell you things. That's just, that's like our market economy currently. So it's not your fault either. We wanted to make sure it was in the film on some level, and maybe we could have done better, but that it's not your fault. Like, by saying we have the power doesn't mean you created everything, because you weren't necessarily in charge of your childhood and how you were raised, and you're not in charge of the society we're born into, and you're surely not in charge of like 2020 where we live, which is a certain societal conditioning that's being placed upon us, and kids feel so much pressure for college and things, and it's not their fault, right? So you got all this working on you. So I think a practice of meditation, stress reduction, can be so helpful for preventative medicine, right? For preventative medicine, number one is to allow your body to be able to cleanse itself. So that resonated with me. I love that Deepak Chopra talked a lot about that. I was really, little inside scoop. We got to use some of, in that period of meditation in the film, you'll see some shots from India and things. And I actually appear in the film 3 times. It's like Where's Waldo? Try and find Adam. But one of them is me sitting by the Ganga River in India, and it's footage from the Road to Dharma series that we pulled to use for B-roll for Heal, And I just loved it being in there. Like, it's not like, oh, you don't have to twist my arm. I love that footage to be in there. When Chopra's talking about meditation, what a gift for me to be able to put footage from something else, because I love Dr. Chopra. So that's a little inside scoop. The meditation I love, and I also love the sound healing part, because I do think not only sound like Dr. Thompson talks about in the film, he talks about really having a resonant sound, which again puts you into a parasympathetic state to help you find ease. I went to him myself, and because I'm a long-term meditator, he had a hard time finding my sound because I'm already in the parasympathetic state.
Really?
So yeah, he's like, that happens a lot with long-time meditators. It's like, I have a lot of trouble finding your sound because you're there. So I don't have anything to gauge it, to find. So in that case, he does a lot of muscle testing to find a frequency. But I think sound and mantra, I've used mantra a lot more in my life in the last 3 or 4 years to really create a frequency. And to allow a lot of energy to come through. So I think this power of sound, music, mantra, whatever you want to call it, singing with friends, laughing, to me is even part of the, sound therapy.
Laughter is medicine, I always say.
I mean, you can't, no one goes like this and laughs, right? The body opens. So it has these healing effects. And Bernie Siegel, that's a little problem. Bernie didn't get in the film really, did he? But he's in the Heal Summit. But we filmed Bernie Siegel. And I say problem, but if there was something I would have loved for us to get in, it's a little more Bernie Siegel because he's so funny. Yeah. Well, did I miss any part?
No. I mean, I think you covered it, and and that's a great tidbit about Bernie too at the end. So a ton of people in the chronic illness community are actually very similar to you. Some of the people with Lyme disease, they got it because they were a risk taker. They were an adventurer. They enjoyed the outdoors, hiking, exploring. They lived a very, very full life before illness. And just a little tidbit of information for you. The CDC recently changed their number of cases of Lyme disease from 30,000 per year to 450,000 per year.
Wow.
It went from there to there. 30,000, 450,000. It's a massive situation. And of course, most of those people go undiagnosed for a time before they are eventually diagnosed. So were you always a seeker growing up? And what kind of led you to producing films about personal growth? Was there a pivotal moment in your life, or is just that the way you are?
Is that the way I think I'm that way through practice and through intentionally seeing that we could live life differently. I think from a young age, being like, I'd rather my emotions not control my life, And then also there's part of me that I look back and say, was I already wired for this? I think athletics helped wire me for call it spirituality or for meditation, because it's that love of being in the zone and totally occupied and totally focused. But I also recognize when I was 3 or 4 years old, I had our closest neighbor was an Indian family. I grew up with the smells of India. She actually, as I look back, the mom cured herself of cancer by just saying, I'm not doing chemo, and that's it, it's done. Like, that's it, and it went away. And that story embeds, and you wonder how much it like either pulls you toward your future in some way, or was just part of it all happening. And then, I read Gandhi's autobiography as a young kid, somewhere in either 7th grade or 8th grade, not prescribed by school, just picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think something was calling. And thankfully, then when I got to college, someone introduced me to meditation, and it changed athletics for me and changed my outlook. And I'll just jump quickly forward to how it got to film. There's a lot in between, but eventually I came to Los Angeles, and I would write, produce comedy. I was acting as well. And then I started going to India, met my teacher, my guru. And upon the 3rd time going there, decided, enough acting. I really want to focus on creating, on the writing side, on the directing side, on producing. And that's where the idea for my first documentary came, which was called The Highest Pass. My teacher in India said, hey, do you want to go on a motorcycle road over the highest road in the world in the Himalayas? And all I heard was, okay, Himalayas guru. The fact that I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle was going, wait, no, what are you about to say? Stop it. What are you doing? And I'm just like, say yes, say yes. And the other guy's like, no, no, no. This is the battle in the head. And I said yes, and thankfully I did. And we decided to make a movie of it and invite other people. And that was my first documentary. And that's where I fell in love with that art of the real, of the authentic. And wow, I came from a narrative background, comedy. So I wanted all my docs to have a narrative adventurous feel rather than like a biopic, So for me, it was perfect. Play the narrative arc, but also have it be real and authentic and inspiring to people. This is the key. So that's where I focused. And of course, sometimes we go into social issues and it's maybe less spiritual per se. And other times, even like with Heal, it's the greatest adventure of our life if we're faced with death. And then something more on the nose, like Road to Dharma, where you're motorcycling and adventuring, but we all know we're seeking something called freedom. We know we're on a pilgrimage, but it's entertaining, life and death. It's beautiful to watch. So it all just I didn't know it as a kid that I was making films. It wasn't like that, but I always knew I was, looking back, I know I was tapped into it, and I'm glad I made some of the choices I did in college and after college to follow my heart and to, I guess, just risk, not having the plan and see what happens and keep practicing faith. That's why I say it's been a practice, this whole thing called a career of a documentary filmmaker or conscious filmmaker, because it's always just you're practicing what you're.
I love the fact that it's real, it's authentic. There were many times in Road to Dharma, for instance, that your real life smattering of people from all different walks of life and everything, they all had to hit the wall at a certain point and did it at various times in their journey. And which one of us can't relate to that? I kept thinking, okay, when is this person going to quit? When is this person? I mean, how much can somebody take to actually go on a journey to go down to that core essence of their souls and their humanness, and then move past that and move through it, all to seek answers? And it was beautiful. Had you taken some of that out and edited it and made it look more perfect, I don't think it would be as relatable to so many people. And life is like that. It's not it doesn't always come out perfectly. And you've been making documentaries for about 9 or 10 years now, I guess, since the first one came out.
11 years. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the other series and what your favorite parts for some of those series were?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of films, let's say, The Highest Pass was my first film, right, over the highest road in the world. That my favorite part was how much faith I had to learn and how difficult it was. And in essence, learning the muscle of I can do anything, learning the muscle that I will always pull through. And faith is not an endpoint. It's just a muscle that you build. And that's really propelled me. So as the next film came, The Polygon, which was in Kazakhstan, and we looked at the years of nuclear testing that happened in former Soviet Union, which is now Kazakhstan, and the destruction it's done to the land, the water, the people, the mentality, etc. It's insane. You know, I mean, we did terrible things here in Nevada, and you can imagine the Soviets cared even less for their own people. Like, hey, come outside and watch the bomb blow up and see how good we are. And then the dust comes over them. And you're like, oh my, what are they thinking? But I knew that a film like that didn't scare me after doing The Highest Best. I'm like, of course, let's go film that. Let's go make that. That's amazing. And you have to protect yourself. And you have to do a lot of things to make that happen. But what I love about that is you get to meet people and they open up to you in ways that you normally wouldn't get. So in a small town in Kazakhstan, they're really opening up about their son that committed suicide at 15 and the problems of the village. And they really let you in because they also want their story out there. So you go places you know, no one would visit this town for tourism. And you would never really sit and talk to these people. So as a doc filmmaker, that's what I really love is people open up. You know, you think people get clammy on a camera. No, it's the opposite. People open up and they want to tell you things, and you take trips you would never take. And even in my early 20s, I kind of stopped vacationing ever. And one of my vacations was to visit my friend in Brooklyn who was teaching at a real down and out school, or the Bronx. And I was like, I'm going to take my long weekend to go just see what it's like for her teaching in this really tough school. Because to me, it's cool. Like, let's see a new part of life. So I knew I enjoyed that. And then some other films, One Little Pill, gosh, that opened me up to just to have compassion for alcoholism. I was brought into that, and you'd think I'd take more of a spiritual bent, but that's actually more a scientific. And I think that's wonderful, again, of like the compassion around people that have alcoholism or a problem with alcohol, not just saying it's an emotional problem, not just saying it's a spiritual problem, and recognizing there's a physical element of addiction that's difficult. And if you can help somebody there, much like in health, if you can help somebody on the diet side, do it. You know, if it can help the symptoms come down, like, you do it. So there are like treatments that are helpful, and you can't just be so dogmatic and say AA is the only way to go. It's again full spectrum. So I don't see spirituality as it's always the spiritual solution. I see spirituality as the expanding of awareness and our ability to be compassionate and look at it holistically. And then after that, what else we got? Heal, as we've talked about.
What about Women of the White Buffalo?
And that one's not out yet, but gosh, what an experience.
I was going to say, I haven't seen that one yet. So that explains that. So it comes out, does it come out this year?
Deborah's the director, and it's good. Yes, but I just found out, I believe so. It was supposed to come out in June, and then she decided to go in and make some changes again. So that was news. It's more in her hands, right? So, but I was instrumental in the beginning, and I saw getting everything together and going, and I was there for the whole major shoot in what it is. I think it was 2018 in all of February and a little bit of March. And my God, what a shoot to be on. I grew up with a love of Native Americans, and my father instilled that in me, and to be able to be there, that's why I couldn't even say no. I was really busy at the time, but I couldn't say no to the project. I had to make it work because I felt like my duty to somehow help get the word out of what the genocide that had happened.
Yes.
But living there was amazing to understand the people better, understand the issue, understand the history, to know that they're a very adaptable people. And it's not like they're trying to go back to living in the old ways. They're trying to integrate their spiritual ways and ancestry into a modern world. And I love that, you know, because they did an amazing job of they integrated horses into their life. It's not like they were all, you know, horses came later. And that was a cool eye opener for me to have some of them say, no, we're a very adaptable people. We're not trying to go backwards. We just want to bring what is important. And in fact, I think that's the message for us in America, is to see more the way they see in terms of connection to the land and connection to spirit and each other and community and reverence for ourselves and the world. So I love that film, but I got to tell you, like I cried for 2 weeks after. I held it together during the film, but when I got back, I just bawled, because you're holding it together, you know, you're keeping your shit together.
Yeah.
And I really was upset. I really wanted to like burn the American flag on Facebook, you know, and my friends are like, you probably don't want to do that, you know.
Yeah.
because I was just so disappointed with our country and the history of this country.
Well, I think, and the timing couldn't be better for Indigenous people of this country, because I mean, there's something happening. We can all agree on that, and the collective consciousness right now. So maybe it was in perfect timing that it's been delayed a little bit in
Totally.
editing.
Totally.
And this is kind of getting personal, but have you ever physically healed through psychological growth? I mean, have you done quantum healing yourself in terms of a physical issue?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's that personal of a question, to be honest. And I wouldn't necessarily call everything quantum healing per se, but for example, I'll give like a couple of simple examples to give some reference. I had parasites back in, let's say, 2003, and tried a lot of different things and diets and all this, and was down to like 135 pounds, and like that's like 40 pounds thinner than this. What you see is like I was just emaciated. None of it worked. And then I started looking at, well, what's parasitical in my life? Okay, let's just do an emotional check-in on that. And I found, what relationships were parasitical, where I was parasitical in that relationship, and so forth. And did that heal it? No, but right after I did that, I found a protocol from Dr. Holder Clark that is a very simple parasite cleanse with 3 things: wormwood, clove, and black walnut hull. And that worked, and it was gone. So it's kind of like Marianne Williamson says, like, you're going to get the solution probably in the field that you can handle or that you're used to, but it doesn't mean it necessarily originated there. So I did some emotional work, and then it came through in a physical way in terms of those herbs. Fantastic. And then, I had a knee injury in my 20s also that I, of course, went to physical therapy, but every day I was doing a certain Native American thing where you go into a special place and you start healing yourself through visualization. Probably very similar to Dr. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even recently, I had to break up with a girlfriend, and then, a bad discussion the night before, and I found myself in physical therapy I was healing something else, and I could tell like it was just all absolutely connected. So the work we were doing on the hips, thankfully, like, my physical therapist also knows Reiki, and like the sadness in the hips was also the sadness I was feeling and disappointment I was actually feeling myself. And so like the body was getting worked on, but I was also releasing emotionally. And it's hard on that one to like separate the two, my body and the relationship. But both needed to release and shift in order for the healing to happen. And I felt after that session that I went to another physical therapist right after that did different kind of manual therapy and deep work. It's like that combo of personalities and physicalness and healing and holding space just allowed all of it to kind of release. And that was quick. It was like, all right, not only my meditation practice, but then some healers to help in some way. And so in 12 hours, it's like, I'm back.
Wow.
So
you're a fast manifester.
That was hard. And willing to be like, okay, let's pause the physical part for a second. I need to, be emotional for a few minutes and just let something else. Okay, now let's go back to work on the hips. Mm-hmm. And the practitioner, I know her enough, and I know she's in the Reiki, and she's also holding that space, and that's cool, right?
Yeah.
So, those are a few examples. I wonder if there's any other.
Well, that's, I feel as though just hearing these small examples of things that have happened in your life can give people insight as to that connection. It's just so easy to say mind-body connection. I don't think a lot of people understand what that really looks like in real life, or how to even visualize what that would look like. So this has given us a lot to think about. I think everybody can relate to knee and back problems and headaches and all sorts of things. But, a big one for me was Louise Hay. That book, You Can Heal Your Life, is just, that was my very first introduction to all of this. And it still rings true. And that book is still so relevant. And so anyway, little shout out to Louise for that. Your latest docuseries, The Road to Dharma. Well,
your almost latest, because I'm realizing the other one isn't released yet, but it's something that everyone should see who's on who really wants to go on a deep, when I talk about deep shifts and deep healing, this is what I'm talking about. You have to see this. In addition to that, as an adjunct to that, you offer a course called Living a Life of Freedom. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think it's like the best of having an entertaining Netflix series and having a deep dive discussion with your best friend after watching that series, after each episode. And that's how we've put this course together. And I hesitate to even call it a course, because you get to watch an episode and then read deeply what we were going for and what we were talking about in terms of the aspects of freedom and more real life experiences that are on a motorcycle journey through the Himalayas, towards these sacred peaks. Some might say, well, I'm not going to ride a motorcycle, but the people you'll see are just like anyone else. They're going through possible divorce. They're going through fear of something new. They're going through changing identity, because I'm old. Can I change? And so I thought it really important, because it is kind of a binge-worthy show. You want to see what happens and you want to take the journey, to give people an opportunity to have a whole chapter to read about the wisdom, contemplate the wisdom, have bullet points to come back to, and like, oh yeah, these are aspects of freedom that I need to remember and come look at. Okay, and there's an easy way. Then to have a meditation to practice along with me, an audio meditation to help put us into that state, if you will, to change our frequency with breath work and mantra. And then say, okay, now let me give you some of the stuff we didn't show you in the episode. The longer talk from Anand, who's the guide in the series, up at Kedarnath Temple, the Temple of Shiva, Temple of Death. Let me show you the 40-minute talk there, so you really get an even deeper, more deeply pulled into this tradition and these temples that have been there thousands of years, and to start to really feel it and feel the tremendous amount of dedication the yogis have put in to uncover these wisdoms, right? That we're thankfully able to unravel through a cool adventure and make it palatable. So that's how the course goes. You get to watch an episode. You can watch all 10 if you want in a row, and then come back, watch it again, and then read the coursework, if you will, read the information and the theory on freedom, do the meditation, watch the bonus footage, and there's 10 episodes, 10 chapters. And then, of course, there's a bonus Q&A with myself and Anand. And you get to hear some of the behind-the-scenes stories, and if Adam got angry on set or not.
No.
I didn't actually on this one, not so much. But
it's great to have that interaction, though, with what it's like a 3D course, basically.
Go ahead.
I want to speak to those out there who are new to all of this. And might be feeling stuck in their health journey. Chronic illness is a challenge, and it's a challenge to cure, sometimes to even heal it, and to even live even as somewhat of a normal life. What do you have to say to those who might be hesitant or not sure they can let go of conventional medicine or old patterns in order to heal?
Yeah, no, I would say you can. You might not be sure you can, but that's okay. If you were sure, then you wouldn't need courage, and we all need some courage. So, courage is in the spite of fear. You take the step, and that's episode 1 of the Road to Dharma, is jump out of the bubble. Mm-hmm. Even though we feel afraid, you do it anyway. And then where we end up at the end is in episode 10, the theme is you're greater than you know, you're greater than you realize. And if you have that little awareness, or if you're hearing that now, that you are greater than you realize, you have more potential and you have more strength than you really know, then you might say, well, okay, I'll do it in spite of, even though I don't feel it, even though I don't want to meditate today, or it's a bad meditation, I'm going to sit today anyway. And also to those people, watch something that's inspiring. Heal will inspire you, or Road to Dharma. Like, you'll see people, it's not healing, but you'll see life and death. The roads in the Himalayas are life and death every second. It's scary as you can imagine. There's monsoon rains that lasted forever. It's cliffs, it's trucks. And people are willingly saying, that's how much I want freedom, is I'm willing to put myself at risk. It's not that we all love motorcycles and being scared. We don't. We love the idea of freeing ourselves. And we're willing to put something at risk. So even if, in a healing journey, you don't feel so strong about it or called to make an internal shift, I think if you look to the other side and say, yeah, but I know I need to, and let that pull you, let the love, let the inspiration pull you, just a little more than the fear. That's kind of always the idea. More love than fear, just more love than fear, just enough, Don't write that email to the person at work, just don't do it right now. Be angry to yourself. I know you're afraid and you want to blame someone, but let's hold back, write it to yourself, and find a little more love than fear so we don't keep propagating that. And then likewise for yourself, a little more love. And go, I know you're afraid and you don't want to do the inner work because it might change your life, but you don't know how it's gonna. And that's kind of the fun part. If you can jump on that. And if you can't, then again, like you reach out to friends and resources, and maybe you take a course or you watch a show that hopefully gives you a kick in the butt and says, yeah, all right, well, watch it with your spouse. So someone else can like hold you to it and say, remember that in episode 7, your personal power. Like sometimes we're just afraid of our personal power. We're afraid because that means we are responsible. And the truth is, Allie, we actually are. Meaning we have control of changing our perspective.
That's great. I know. And so pivotal that you just said to pay attention to that. Maybe it's just 0.5% that's in the back of your mind that said, that would be cool, or I wonder if that would help, or I'm kind of curious about that. All these different, the feeling, the voices that we often just go ahead and bury, to just go with that. Just try it. Try a new way of healing. Try a new mindset. Try to say yes to things and to open it up. I think people will see so many shifts. You guys, I just can't tell you how much Adam's work is imperative to those willing to heal their bodies and heal their minds. So we have something special that Adam's agreed to do for us. And I'm going to just first let him tell all of us where we can reach him, how to access his information in his series and his course, if you will. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go inward, and he's going to take us on a 10-minute or so breath work / meditation, and access to aligning our energy and to just, getting in touch with that personal freedom. So first of all, Adam, thank you so much. This has meant the world to me. And tell us where you can be found, and then take us on this little journey.
Yeah, I'll give a few resources. I hope it's not too much. So you can go to Living Eye to Eye. That's my company website. So the word living and the letter I, number 2, letter I, and that lists all the films and links to get to wherever you want to watch The Highest Pass, or when's Women of the White Buffalo coming out, or the Road to Dharma series. So that links out. Then Road to Dharma is roadtodharma.com. That has links to watch 3 free episodes, as well as 3 chapters of the course. So that's a nice free offering. Like, all right, let me just jump in and see what this show is all about. Watch all 3, because you'll get to Kedarnath. You get to use 3 meditations. You get to experience 3 lessons in the course. So I highly recommend that. And I like always giving something free, some offering. And then the other place, adam.yoga also, adam.yoga.com. I also keep a few meditations free there, and you can sign up for the email list and things like that.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll let you take it from here. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll get started on our gift from Adam right now.
No, it's a gift to be here and to meditate with you all for a bit. So this will be, we'll do just basically 10 minutes of pranayama, breath work, and specifically geared toward stress reduction and stabilizing the nervous system. So do 3 different pranayamas. The first one is going to be, and I'll explain it as we go, the Amrita Breath. The second one will be Pranayama, and the third one will be a balancing breath. So I'll explain exactly how to do these, and each one's only 3 minutes long. And then it'll put us in a nice frequency and state where you're allowed to you can just stay there for longer if you want, and hang out for another 10 minutes on your own, etc. Right? So knowing that, let's go ahead and just come into a nice tall spine wherever you are. Laying down's probably not good, so sitting up on a chair or on a cushion. And just begin with allowing our surroundings, so any sensations, allowing any sounds, any thoughts that are around you. And I like to start with allowing, because we're not trying to push anything out. We're not trying to empty the mind. We're expanding our awareness and including. So we include any sensations. And then we also include in our awareness the earth. Right, feeling the earth in some way, and then including the air, the space in our awareness. And also including the sun. And likewise, including in our awareness the prana, this vital energy, this innate intelligence that's flowing through us. Prana. And there's no right way to do it. We're just including it in our awareness, however that feels fantastic. In the earth, the air, the sun, the prana. This is our primal body, meaning without it, we don't exist. So we include it in our greater body, in our meditation. And from here, we bring in the first pranayama, the Amrita breath, which is the breath of nectar. And you simply sip in through the mouth, like sipping in through a straw. So you pucker the lips and breathe in through the mouth. We'll do this for 3 minutes. You breathe in. Then you pause the breath, focus the third eye. So that's like the forehead between the eyes. You just start looking, your eyes are closed, but you're looking up at that third eye slightly. Not too much effort, right? And then exhale through the nose. And again, we breathe in through the mouth, like sipping in slowly through a straw. You can make sound. Pause the breath, focus at the third eye. And exhale through the nose. We'll keep that going for 3 minutes. This really calms the nervous system, focuses us and connects us to the prana. And if any thoughts come, that's fine, right? You include the thoughts and then positively reinforce that we became aware of the thoughts. So our awareness then grew, and we just bring it back to the breath work and continue with this breath of nectar. About 1 more minute. This breath of nectar connecting to the prana, slow inhales. Good. And release that breath. Just breathe in and out through the nose. And this is where you check in. Just notice if anything is shifted. This part's great. It's so important. This noticing. What's my experience of this? Not afraid to feel for a while. And then we bring in prana apana. This really stabilizes the nervous system. This is fantastic before bed also. So in prana apana, you make like peace fingers, right, on both hands. So in essence, the pinky would be touching the thumb. So would the ring finger touching the thumb. And your palms are facing up. So you have these peace fingers with the palms facing up. That's the inhale. And you release the pinky, bring the middle finger to the thumb, turn the palms over so the palms are facing down. That's the exhale. Your hands kind of look like a wolf. So the inhale again is like peace fingers with the palms up, the pinky and ring finger touching the thumb. The exhale through the nose, middle finger touches the thumb, pinky releases, palms are facing down. Just do that nice and slow. Inhale, peace fingers, palm up. Exhale like a wolf, palms are facing down. And the hands can be down by the knees. I'm holding them up in terms of the video just so people can see. But the hands are down by the knees. The inhale through the nose, the exhale through the nose. And again, we do this for 3 minutes. This really stabilizes the nervous system. Sends a clear message that everything is fine. We're not in fight or flight. If you notice you're going too fast or going fast, just slow the breath down. There's really nowhere to go. We're not counting the amount of breaths. So you can just slow the breath down. One more minute like this, and if the mind comes in and really insists it needs to think about something else, just say, I don't think so. I really think we can just calm ourselves down for a while. The world's not falling apart. Just kind of laugh at ourselves. Release the hands, just breathe in and out through the nose. Again, check in. And then we bring in the balancing breath, the Alom Dilom Pranayama, Alom Dilom. So you inhale through the left nostril. If you want to use your fingers to help that, you put your right finger at your right nostril, the next two fingers at your third eye, at your forehead. The other two fingers at the left nostril, but you open those so that your left nostril can breathe in. You breathe in for about 5-6 seconds. Then you pause the breath, focus at the third eye for 5 or 6 seconds. And then we'll exhale through the right nostril, 5 or 6, or maybe 7. Inhale through the right nostril. Pause at the third eye. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left and keep that going, your own pace, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. Equal part left, equal part holding, equal part right. On the exhale, and the inhale on the right, equal parts, hold, and exhale. Keep this going. It becomes like a U shape. And you just follow the energy up one side, down the other. This really balances the two sides, the male and the female. Keep this going. Again, if the thoughts come, you just become aware of them. That way we're strengthening the awareness and bring it back and focus on the prana, the energy. It really helps to feel it on the side that you're breathing in on, as well as or breathing out on. Feel the energy on that side of the body. Just about 30 more seconds. And then release the breath. Just again, breathe in and out through the nose, check in. So then you can just stay in this space for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just really allowing your awareness to expand and observe. If you ever need to come back, if the mind's going too much, you can come back to one of the breath, one of the pranayamas. And likewise, I find this a nice place to be able to directly communicate to the body if you want to send certain intentions into the chemistry of the body. Things like I am strong, adaptable, resourceful, I'm healthy. After doing the pranayama, it's really in a state of receptivity and safety, and you can send these messages a lot easier and tell the cells like, yes, we're strong, we're healthy, allow the light in. And you can play with some of those. Or just stay in silence for another 10 or 15 minutes. Enjoy.